Welcome back to Big Boss Mare with Brandy Von Holten. Today, I have a guest by the name of Leslie, Waymack, and then Ballard, but she goes by Leslie Ballard. Okay, so Leslie, you are a 1971 model, correct?
I am. Proud of it, too.
Heck yeah. Do you know, a lot of people are so messed up about their age, and I will tell you, as soon as I turned 40, I felt like I don't know, like I had a hat I could throw into the game, and being like, hey,
yeah.
I've been here, I've done that, and I'm not a new kid on the block.
Now it's time to live.
Yep.
Yeah, now it's time to live.
Yes.
I know what you're talking about. I felt that way too. And everybody was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're not upset. When I turned 50, girl, I wanted a party. I never asked for a birthday party in my life, but I asked for one on that one. And we did it. I was proud of it because, number one, I survived. And number two, I feel like I can live the rest of my life how I want to now.
Right.
I've done everything, and I'm smarter than I was when I was 20.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I look pretty good for 50.
Oh, my gosh. There's this song. Do you know who BB Rexa is by any chance?
I don't think so.
Dude, she's got this song that's like not 20 anymore. And you need to listen to that song because, like, God, it's such a beautiful song, but it just, like, celebrates not being 20. But you know what?
Right.
I do love, boy, you and I share several passions, and our lives seem like they were, we should have crossed paths, but we didn't.
Right,
it's so
I know.
weird. But
right.
Because you're in Arkansas.
Sometimes the world is not so small. Right,
well,
I am.
Yeah. You're in Arkansas, and my family's in Arkansas. I graduated high school in Arkansas. I got my first 2 college degrees there. And you are in Cabot. And explain people where Cabot is in relation to Little Rock.
It's in the very kind of central part of Arkansas, and I work in North Little Rock, so it takes me, on an average, about 30 minutes to get there. So we're about 30 minutes north of Little Rock.
Okay. Now then, you are you're a high school social studies teacher. And
I am.
You've done that for how long?
I have been a teacher for 24 years.
24
long years.
Oh my gosh. I was a science teacher, and I taught high school science, and I did that. Well, I taught some middle school, but then whenever I stopped teaching, I was teaching at the high school level, and I loved it. I did that for 11 years.
I love being around the kids. I think they make me feel younger and kind of keep me, alive and new and all that kind of stuff. I still love teaching.
Yep.
It's just all the other pressures that come along with it. And I don't think all teachers quit because they don't like kids. I think teachers quit because we just we can't handle it anymore.
I think teachers stay because they love the kids.
I do too. If I did not love the kids, I wouldn't be here. But it's all the other bureaucracy that goes along with it and all the other kinds of stuff.
I hated the push towards standardized testing. I felt like, there was so much pressure on us to do well. And you know what? There are kids that are never going to do well on tests. There's adults that are never going to do well on a test. And it does not define them,
I agree. I agree.
So,
don't get me started on that.
Well, and you know what? Whenever I hear people say, "Oh no, this next generation in our country's, going down," and I'm all like, "Man, you ain't met the kids that I've met." There are
I have some really amazing kids, but I have some really rough kids, and sometimes those are all intertwined together.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Some of the roughest kids. So this
are some of the best.
Oh, they end up. I end up being part of their life whenever they're older.
Yeah,
some of the roughest.
You have more impact. And I guess that's why I train mules too. I associate kids with mules.
Oh,
and same principle.
So you got your degree from ASU. You have a degree in social science, and then you got your master's in special education.
I do.
And then you don't work in special education right now, though.
No, honestly, I never have.
Oh, okay.
It was just kind of something that was pushed. I did it off and on, and I was a 504, which is, I can do it, but I have never and I I have inclusion classes and stuff like that, so that allows me to help. But as far as being a sped teacher, no, I have never been one.
So explain to the people that don't understand what a 504 is.
Mm-hmm. That's for kids that just have, maybe they broke their arm or and they can't write with their right arm. So they need me to provide them with notes or something like that. Or it could be something that they have ADHD, but it's not to the point that they need a full-blown intervention. It just means that maybe they need 3 instead of 4 choices on a multiple choice test. They might only need 2 or something like that.
Okay, so it's slight modifications.
Mm-hmm. It's light modifications, and it can be temporary, it can be long-term.
Okay.
So it's, yeah.
And
every teacher has to deal with that.
Oh, yep. Explain the term inclusion.
That means that we have all the kids together in one classroom. So I'll have your kids who are maybe advanced, and then I may have kids who are considered special education.
Okay.
And so we have them all in the same class.
So before we got on here, before I do a podcast, I like just to sit down and kind of just run through some things with the people that I'm going to interview. So you're a 71, I'm a 79, and then you graduated from Cabot. I graduated from Riverview, which is in Searcy. Okay.
In Searcy, yeah.
And then
that was just down the road.
Oh, yeah. I used to do martial arts in North Little Rock, and then I also used to, I worked there, and I did an internship there at the law enforcement training facility that's for the VA, and that's in North Little Rock. And you and I were talking about some of the restaurants in North Little Rock, and I brought up Rudy's Oyster Bar.
Oyster Bar, yeah.
And I've never ate an oyster from there, but they always had the best cheeseburgers.
Oh, yeah. Now, I'm not an oyster person either. I got sick on them one time.
Yeah, that and
I have never, that ended that infatuation. But I did like their hamburger, their cheeseburgers. And they had good drinks, too, best I can remember.
Right.
And, that's a good place. And now they've U.S. Pizza's got the best salad.
U.S. Pizza Company. You're about to tell me about Rudy's Oyster Bar. Did they move?
Well, they've redone all of that North Little Rock Main Street area, so they're still there, but it's kind of on down. It's I don't know how to explain it. You'd have to just see it. But that whole area has been redone, and they got the trolley car that goes through there now, and it's all kind of cool and more of a kind of a river market theme, but on the other side.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Well, that sounds like it upgraded.
It did. It upgraded a lot, but it's still down there.
Do you know last time? Okay, so every 6 weeks we would get a new set of officers in because the VA hospitals are everywhere. But, man, I remember one of my experiences was we were all in a bus because we had to go somewhere for training. And then we look out, and in the dang there was a grocery store parking lot. There's somebody with a gun pulled, and we were like, oh my God. And then you just seen an officer pull up, and I was like, and then they dropped their gun. But here we are. I'm in a bus with like a ton of police officers from all over. And then I'm like, we would have never seen that. You know, if I was by myself or with horse people, we'd never seen it. But and all these cops are like, oh, something's about to go down.
Yeah, something happening here, yeah. That's funny. I have a whole busload of cops.
Yeah. I love doing that. You know what? It's the same thing with kids. It's the same thing with mules. It's the same thing with adult police officers of ask, tell, demand.
Oh, yeah.
Consistency.
I'm sure, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so let's...
I've seen it.
Oh, I'm sorry. What were you saying?
That's okay. I've seen it. I understand it.
All right, so you were married before for 15 years, and you have a son now that's in his 20s, and he's a welder.
I do.
And no grandbabies yet.
No grandbabies. I'm not old enough.
You know what? So, you and I, we're 8 years apart, and, I never had children. So, you're like, I'm not old enough to be a grandma, and I'm over here like, I forget that I'm old enough to be a grandparent because I never had children. I never had children, so I'm all like, oh, yeah, they could have grown up.
I know, and I was 30 when I had Drew, so I had him late, and then I was always like, a lot of my friends have grandbabies, and I'm like over here looking like, yeah, that ain't me. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, I told you, I need to be in my 70s. To me, that is a grandma.
Yeah.
I remember my grandma. Yeah, that's what I want to be.
Well, girl, I've got some grandma stories. I view my my grandma used to wear this. They would wear muumuus, like a dress, and they would try to put some ruffles on the shoulder, and
No, that wasn't my grandma. Was just like me.
Oh, she's country.
She was, oh yes, but she really wasn't. But she was, and she was a worker, and there was nothing my grandmother couldn't do. She could plumb a house. She could put a roof on a house. She could put carpet down. There was nothing my grandmother couldn't do. She could work in the barn. She didn't like horses. That's not where we got our equine sense from. But, you always have those people. I have two people in my life that are my family members that you say, those are your people. Those are the people that understand you.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is my Aunt Rhonda. And she understands me. She gets me. And the other one was my grandmother. And when she passed, I felt like, just a part of my life just left me because she was my person, Yeah. So I think of her, and I think of her around this time always because she would, I'm choking up a little bit. She would have a house and she would decorate it. And she had this talking Santa, and in our age, you didn't see that a lot,
Right.
And people would come by and they would drive by our house or her house because she had this big open window, and people would look at her Santa Claus, and that was her specialty, And so Christmas always makes me think of her. And we don't have that tradition hardly anymore. Everybody's spaced out and everything, so we just don't think about that stuff anymore. But my grandma was special.
Talking about, so my grandma just played bingo, and she would go to yard sales and get stuff and then sell it for more than what she bought
my
it for.
grandma did that too now. Yep, she did that too.
And then my grandma, girl, I learned the hard way. If you see grandma with an iced Coke, it's got some hard liquor in it, okay? I learned that the hard way. I remember the first time that I was like, because my parents didn't have pop. We had pop for special occasions. We didn't keep it in the house. But I seen grandma had some, and nobody was looking, and I wanted to drink of her Coca-Cola so bad, girl. And I took a big old chug. You know what it felt like? It felt like original Listerine. Felt like I had drank the bottle.
Oh my God!
Grandma must have been 10% Coca-Cola, 90%, and I was like, wow.
Or whatever, gin probably.
And then she's just like, "That'll learn you. That'll learn you." And that's all she said. She didn't tell on me or nothing. But
she did.
No,
that would have learned me because that would have. I can't handle liquor like that.
Oh, wow. So you're talking about how people just don't do things anymore. I told my husband, like, we've got nieces and nephews, and growing up, my aunts and uncles used to send us birthday cards, and I couldn't open it up fast enough for that $5 or that $10 bill to pop up.
I know.
We don't do that.
My Rhonda still. I'm 51 years old, and on my birthday, I'm going to get a card and $25.
Oh, you're going to get, and you're looking forward to it. And I just,
I can count on that one. I can count, and my birthday is New Year's, and I hate my birthday for the most part. I mean, it's fun, and you really don't ever have to worry about finding a party to go to, and everybody's celebrating, everybody's in a good mood, However, we get shorted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because we get Christmas and birthday presents together.
Yep.
They don't separate them, or they get, we just bought you something. No, you didn't. You got to be the same thing as you got everybody else.
You're cheap, and you cheated me out of a gift. Dang it!
You cheated. I've always felt cheated.
My
except
husband's
for my
birthday.
cards that I get.
Oh, from your my husband's birthday's in December, and that is why we got married in May. Is so he could get gifts in the middle of the year.
Right. I always tell her, can I have a different birthday? I want mine in the middle of July.
Well, and you know what? I know. Well, hey, my birthday was in the middle of August, and you know what I got? Freaking school clothes.
What?
I got school clothes. I got folders. I got markers. I got school supplies.
That would suck. That would be bad.
Well, luckily, now I'm like, I can't get enough stationery. Like, I love that stuff.
Yeah.
Like some Lisa
Yeah, you do.
Lisa Frank.
Yeah.
I was all about it, But, my husband and I, we're really going to have to work on being better aunts and uncles. We've just kind of gotten lazy with those old traditions. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just us, like if our business is going too fast.
Well, everybody's so spread out, and everybody's got different families, and everybody's got to be with, and it is what it is.
Well, it just felt like everybody used to get together a little bit more. But then whenever that age, it felt like whenever they passed away, like somebody should have picked up the torch. We don't do it anymore. Yeah.
We've lost that part.
Yeah, I wish that we'd get that back. We had a wedding we have a wedding venue here. And then we also have a camping facility, and we have a covered arena, and we got 25 miles of trail, all this stuff to do things with. But last weekend we had a wedding, and I actually went to it because there was going to be these miniature donkeys that came into our wedding venue, and I wanted to make sure everything was going to be cool. It's the first time we've had livestock in our wedding barn, and they delivered beer on their little backs and everything. But and it worked out great.
The beer donkeys, I've seen those. Yeah. I've seen those.
Well, they put some kind of wrap on their feet so it didn't do anything, and they had a little poop sack to catch everything, and they didn't do anything. Those donkeys were great. But I was in there, and I got to hear their speeches. First of all, okay, this family, I'm like, am I too old to be adopted? Because I'm like, y'all are my people. Because the father was the best man in his son's wedding. Is that not cool?
How cool. That is so cool. And that doesn't happen very often anymore.
No, we see all sorts of daddy things going on here. I mean, we've seen if the dad's deceased. We've seen where daddy's not invited. We've seen where stepdaddy walked him down the thing. We've seen it where daddy and stepdaddy had to walk the girl, the bride down. I mean, we've seen all this daddy stuff, but I've never seen it where the father was the best man.
That is so cool. That is, and you don't see that anymore. And I don't know if that's because there's a breakdown somewhere in the system or what. I mean, I don't know.
I just feel like the world's going too fast sometimes.
Maybe I think you're right. Going way too fast. That's why.
Too fast.
I have to now, and two, it's at my age where I don't have to ask permission. I'm not married anymore, so I don't have to, to accommodate other different things and stuff. I can just pick up and go where I want to go, and I'm seeking. Going back in time almost, I go back to the trails, or I go up to the mountains for the weekend and ride, or do something like that, because it's the work I'm trying to escape. I'm not going to say reality, because I live in it pretty regularly, but I just need to get away back into times where things are so much simpler, easier.
Well, you know what? This morning I'm reading a book. Every day I read just a little bit. I used to hate to read.
I do too.
And now I read a little bit. Yeah. But I'm reading this book right now called "Don't Let the Enemy Be at Your Table." I think, or "Don't Give the Enemy a Seat at Your Table" is what it's called.
A seat at your table, isn't it? Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, well, I've seen the book, but I haven't read it.
Well, one of the lines.
I'm reading the.
What are you reading?
Yeah, I'm reading the assassination of Kennedy.
Oh, okay. Okay, social studies teacher.
I know. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. A line in the book that I read today said, you don't always have to say your side of the story. Time will. Mm-hmm. Time will tell your side of the story.
And karma.
Oh, yeah. Well,
and karma.
I posted that on my professional page because I write children's books and I make personal planners. I have a goal setting sisterhood where I only allow 25 people a year into it, and they get to see everything that I do. And I fill out my planner every day, and then they get to walk through that with me. But I posted that line in there, and I was just like, man, that's talking about the evils of the world, having a seat at your table, and negativity having a seat at your table. That's what that book is talking about. And I was like, man, the only time that I completely clear my mind and just really mentally relax, but I'm 100% where I'm at, is whenever I'm in the saddle.
It is. Yeah. If I didn't have them, I don't know what I don't know. And I've always had it. I've never had anything else. I ran track, and I was pretty good in track actually, but that's all I did. I didn't play softball. I didn't play basketball. I rode.
Mm-hmm.
And I was an only child until I think I was 12 when Emily, my sister, was born. So, and I was the only child, only grandchild. And everybody kind of catered to me. However, my mom worked, my stepdad worked. And so I was often with my grandparents. Well, my grandparents were out here at the farm. Grandparents, what did they do when they were kids? They rode. So Grandpa gave me a pony, and then the pony went from a horse to a horse, and it went from there. I didn't have a lot of friends because we lived out here in the middle of nowhere,
Right.
So I rode. And so riding in that saddle is my solace. It's my time to reflect. It's my time to think. It's my time to work out issues that maybe I had today, or whatever. It's my time.
Mm-hmm.
And if I didn't have it, oh, Lord, have mercy. I don't know.
Yeah. I get buried in this is Missouri's best podcast right now, and then we just got voted
that's cool.
Missouri's best place to get married, and like my husband has
Really?
this business. Yeah. My husband has this business where it's a CNC router. So it's this large machine and it has these things that spin. Well, then it's computerized. So whatever he designs on his screen, it can be cut into wood. Well, we're trying to make it to where schools that don't have wood shop can buy kits from us, and then we mail kits and then have online video and then also phone support. Well, that right there, I spend so much.
That is huge.
Girl, oh my God. Get this right here. Missouri does not have industrial technology standards for our state, so we're having to use national standards, which is great because it doesn't matter what state we send these to.
Yeah, they can order the kit from anywhere, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, homeschools, school doesn't even have to be homeschool. It could be an actual school. I mean, I used to be a school teacher.
We don't have shop class at our school.
Oh, girl.
That amazes me because I'd originally worked in Northeast Arkansas and taught up there, and everything was agricultural based, and things like manufacturing based, everything like that. Well, you would think the same thing, but I get down here and I go to North Little Rock. They do not have an ag department. They don't do shop or welding. If you do like auto body mechanic, that kind of stuff, they second source it, so they go to the tech school down the road or whatever. So I mean, it's crazy that these kids don't know how to do this stuff, or they don't have the opportunity to do it. So you're giving them that,
right? Well, and you know what? So many parents, they don't have those skills to be able to teach them to
help
a child.
them do it.
Yeah. So
that is so cool.
That's what we're trying to do, and it has consumed me with trying to get it started. I actually hired a marketing coach that specializes in like membership things. Like she's got a few that she does, but I hired her for 10 one-hour sessions, and the first session, I took notes of like, here's what she told me to do, and then that's on the left side. Well, and then the right side of my column of notes was what I actually had to do to achieve that. It was 4 pages of things to do.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my gosh. One thing, like this podcast right here right now, it's just audio. Well, this will be transcribed, and then I will put it onto my blog. So whenever people type in your name or whatever, it will pull them up to my website where they'll have the transcription of this podcast. So, I mean, like, that was one of the things she said I needed to do. She says I'm doing a lot, but I just need to kind of sew everything together. So,
yeah, to kind of get it all focused into one where you maybe not going in so many directions
just
or whatever.
Just got to clean it up. Well, she's making it to where whenever I do one thing, then it is good enough for, like, 3 things. So she said that she would, like, do a YouTube video that's 10 minutes. Well, then she has it transcribed. And so then she's got content for her blog, and then they'll use that information to write social media. Know, so everything's all tied together. So that's what she was.
Cool.
So right now, I don't get to ride very much. I mean, I own a horse trail riding facility on a family farm that's been in the same family for over 115 years. And right now, I don't get to ride very much, but I make it a point, I put it on my schedule to get out there because that is whenever I get to decompress and re-energize.
That is right, yeah. And I mean, when I get home, that's the first thing. I change clothes, get out of my work clothes, put my boots on, and I head to the barn. And I get tunnel vision a lot when I get over there, but it's like, whew, that's my time. The rest of the day is everything's over with, and then, you go to bed.
Right.
Wake up and do it again the next morning.
So you're getting close to retirement from teaching, and then you are wanting to become an outfitter. So tell people what your dream is.
I want to, have a service or provide service for, mules. And let's say that you drew an elk tag in Colorado, but you don't have the mules or anything like that to go in and get the meat out or get the tents and all that stuff in that you're going to need. Well, then you call Leslie on the phone, and I'm going to provide that for you. And I'll go with you, take the mules, pack them in, pack everything in, then pack everything out. Or just trail riding services where if I don't know that I would want to be a trail guide type thing, but, we need to go this and do this. We don't have the livestock or whatever. And I think it would be okay because a lot of these places that provide hunting, facilities or, whatever, they don't want to keep livestock all year long. They're going to have to feed those mules and everything like that. So if I come in and offer the service, then it's going to be better for them in the long run.
Okay. I'm thinking about ways that you and I, because you were you kind of want to be like this feather in the wind.
Roving person, like I said, you need me to come up there and take care of the facility for a couple of weeks because you and your husband are going to go on a vacation. Hadn't had one in a while, so call Leslie.
Well,
call me.
That's a big service. A lot of people that don't have livestock do not understand. You, I call it prisoner in paradise.
And I'm handy. I'm handy. I can put shoes on. I can take them off. I mean, even though I am a female, I have always been, or, kind of been in a man's world, it feels like. Because if you train or if you do, whatever, especially in the mule world, I'm an oddity to a degree. There's not a lot of us out there that want to provide any kind of service like that.
Right.
But I mean, I'm very handy. I'm handy to be around. I'm almost as good as a vet in some cases, and I know how to take care of things. I know how to get things done. But, I want to make my mules be what earns my paycheck.
Well, and
I have my teacher retirement to kind of pad my pocket, but I'm trying to set myself up so that I can just be a mobile, whatever you need.
There's so many people that do that, they work, and at the end of it, we see people that sell their homes and they buy nice RVs, and then they travel to where the good weather's at, and there's groups and pods of them, and a lot of these trail facilities that have somebody that comes and stays for a month or 2 months, and then they work. And, talking about, you're a woman, do you know our best interns and some of our best employees have been women? And we have all these agriculture colleges around us, okay? And interns, my interns, I had one girl, she asked hey, can I intern? And I was like, sure. How many hours do you need? And it was 180 hours. And I was like, jackpot. Oh my gosh, 180 hours. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the first day, she, came there to work on her internship. I was like, okay, we got to go get hay. I said, are you slinging or stacking? Okay. 'Cause it's just you and I. And she was just so cracked up because she had been trying to get an internship for 2 years and nobody would take her as an intern because they were afraid that she couldn't do the work. And then on the first day, I'm like, it's you and I. We got to go move 200 square bales. Are you going to sling them to me or are you going to stay up here and stack?
You're going to stay, yeah.
So
that's it. That's around here. I have to unload stuff. I mean, I have to work. And that's okay with me. I'm okay with it. I really am.
Well, with you and I told you I think we are like sisters, but we forgot to be sisters or something.
I know, right?
I used to do full contact fighting. I try to go to the Olympics as a heavyweight fighter, and I have fought in 5 countries. I was glamour with the hammer.
Oh my God,
And
how
like,
funny.
most
I've
heavy.
been in a couple, but they've been in the bar.
Oh my gosh. Your students are going to look at you differently. Oh my gosh.
No, they won't. They
Oh,
will not look at me any different.
oh, do you know? Well, one time I had fought and I knocked this girl's front 2 teeth out. And then the next
my God.
week, well, and it was awesome because the way I knocked them out, I kicked her so hard in the mouth that it knocked it out by the root. Like the teeth went to the roof and like her roots were facing me. Anyways, the next week, so I'm all like, I knocked this girl's teeth out, you know. But then the next weekend, girl, I took a shot to the eyebrow and it like my whole eye was. So on Monday, coming back, okay, so I didn't even get to live in very much glory from knocking that girl's teeth out because the very next weekend I had a black eye, right? Girl, I went to work and I had like, I looked like a cross-dressing
You've been in the ring
man.
with Rocky Balboa?
No. I made the other eye match it. So I had put purple up to the eyebrow, up to my eyebrow, trying to make, because the school I worked at was not ready. They were not ready for an actual black eye on the, here I am, a Caucasian school teacher, long blonde hair, and I'm like, I knocked the girl's I got this black eye. It's not very becoming of a female. And then I couldn't do it. I went to the principal that afternoon and I was just like, hey, I got a really bad black eye right now, but I don't want to wear all this makeup. And then she was just like, that's awesome. And so I didn't have to try to cover it up. But,
well, that's great. Yeah.
Well, you know how many people talk about living in a man's world? And I used to do powerlifting. I actually won a state championship in Arkansas in bench press in my weight division. And I've always dabbled in a man's world. But then yesterday I did a Facebook Live because I tried to do contouring for the first time. And
oh, God.
I was like, I'm either going to look like some dirty-faced girl or I'm going to look hot. or I'm going to look like I needed to be in the music video for that song Trashy Women by Confederate Railroad.
Trashy Women? Oh, my God, I love it. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm not going to lie. I got into the TikTok thing, too, and I got me some makeup, and I was fixing to make myself. Girl, it looked like rolling in the mud or the mule would buck me off. Oh, yeah. And I looked like I had a dirty face and I felt like they were looking at me, like, what's wrong with you?
Well, some of my friends that commented on that Facebook Live or like they commented, I did some before and after pictures or whatever. Yeah. And they were just like, what is contouring? I'm like, you use like it's fake shadows. It's fake shadows on your face, but you do them with like brown. And then the stuff that I got, I'm like, I don't know if this makeup is for white people. It's kind of dark, but I'm going to try it.
It was dark. I mean, back in the day, you used to try to get rid of that makeup line. Now I feel like we're trying to put that line back in there. And I'm like, look, I can't see.
Oh, my gosh.
And I laughed at myself, and I just did it so I could go to the barn,
Yeah.
And
oh, my gosh.
Sorry.
Well, like today, I got up and I did my hair, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna start. There's a couple girls on TikTok. They've been twisting their stuff, and it looks cute. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm gonna try to do that. And then you know what? I got into my bag of hair stuff I never wear. Well, I got this thing that's got rhinestones all over it. I got it in Mexico from like a street vendor, and I'm like, I'm gonna put that in my hair today too. Then I was like, my ponytail looks rough, so I braided my ponytail, and so I look like a kid that's ready for like the second grade because I've got like 12 little bobby pins in my hair. I got this. Thing in a girl, and I got full makeup on. I woke up early. My husband was like, "Oh my gosh, I love your hair," and I was like, "Wow, you have such low expectations."
Expectations of me, yeah. That's good though.
Oh
I kind of like that. I like it when people have low expectations of me, and I learned a long time ago I act dumb.
Oh yeah.
Because and the more things the more things they expect you to have to get done. Mm-hmm. So like mowing the yard. You go and tear that lawnmower up, they won't want you to mow the yard or something. Yeah. Well, you get out of things, or I didn't know how to do that. Man, that's good.
Man,
I've learned that.
I made my husband a birthday cake, and it was pretty ugly. But like this man, like his food groups, you know how like they're supposed to be the pyramid, and it's supposed to be like, well, bread on the bottom, fats up at the top.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well,
work it all up. Yeah.
His is sugar and candies on the bottom. Well, and Pepsi. And then Casey's breakfast pizza is the next layer of his food pyramid, and then he eats like a 12-year-old fat kid is what my husband eats like. But
I wish I could.
He's a little guy. My husband's a little guy.
Yeah,
but
that make you sick. You just want to slap them.
Oh, you know what? We went to adopt some kids before, and we had to do blood work on us, because they don't want you to adopt them if you're about to kick the bucket. Well, it turns out my blood work came back.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, I was the fittest fat person in the world because like cholesterol was 130, resting heart rate was like 67. Blood came back with everything. I got like
everything
stars.
was normal.
Yeah, and then David, my husband, my skinny husband, doesn't even weigh 180 pounds, and he came back with pamphlets and they were like, "Oh my gosh, you're gonna have they couldn't even."
You're gonna have a heart attack before you turn 40. Yeah.
They centrifuged his blood, and the fat wouldn't even separate because he had so much fat in his blood. And I'm like, that's because of you eat stupid.
That is diet. That is nothing but diet right there.
He fixed it. He's a lot healthier now. We both kind of. Whenever we built this trail riding facility, we both kind of just had to say, never mind. We didn't even have a kitchen for a while. And so anyways.
I had convinced most of my friends that I didn't know how to cook. I honest to God had convinced them that I didn't know how to cook. Because if you don't know how to cook or you don't cook well, then they don't expect you to cook. And you get to bring like the paper towels and the napkins and the paper plates,
lazy.
And then they found out I could cook because I really can cook and I can cook good. I just choose not to. And then they found out I could cook. And now they don't give me the paper towels and the paper plates and stuff anymore.
Bring dessert, lady.
Bring dessert or bring chili, maybe mashed potatoes, something like that. Yeah.
So
I had them convinced, but
you had them convinced that you were like useless. Like, oh hey.
Yeah. I don't know how to do nothing. I didn't know how to wash my clothes. I didn't know how to iron. I didn't know how to do nothing.
Oh, my gosh. Hey, so let's go through where you and I met. We met at a place called MuleFest. And it was actually at another trail facility called Panther Creek. It was at Panther Creek. I was invited. I think you were invited by Stacy Smith and Mary Bell. They had put MuleFest together, and I was a mounted archery instructor. I did a demonstration there, and then I brought my mule, Jojo, who looks like a pregnant guinea pig. Like he has.
Well, he was healthy. Yeah,
oh,
he was healthy.
He's thick. Everybody's like, oh, he's so pretty, and they're like, is he pregnant? And I'm like, first of all, it's a boy. Second of all, mules can't get pregnant. So no, he's just fat. His body is just ugly shaped. Okay. But he's cute. But anyways, I rode him and did some mounted archery. I was able to shoot from a canner. You have to drop the reins. And then you brought a couple of mules and was going through desensitizing and then your training regimen. So tell us about your training regimen.
Well, most of the time, I guess kind of how I got started in this deal was I'm an old barrel racer. And I was locally, people knew who I was, and things like that. And I always had a good horse, seemed like I did. And I broke my neck, and I started having a whole lot of trouble with being able to ride and being able to take that lick when they come around the barrel and the jerk and the snap and all that kind of stuff. And that kind of led me into riding a mule. And then from there, I decided that mules didn't ride the way I wanted them to ride. I mean, I was coming from a horse, that had power steering out the wazoo to something that, I was having to pull around. They didn't, mouths weren't very good, and now granted, this was 10 years ago, so mules have changed a lot too. And so I got my first mule. I love him. I still have him. He is a pain in my rear end, but he taught me a lot. But I decided I was going to go and start young ones and start from the ground up and do them my way. And have the expectations of the mules, the same expectations of them as I would if I was starting a barrel horse.
Right.
And so I learned pretty quickly on that it was easier to get the mules, even though it kind of sounds foreign, but it's easier to get a mule for me that is wild and untouched than it is to restart a mule that has not had the correct, what I consider the correct foundations and stuff like that.
Well, you know what that is? It's easier to give birth than it is to raise a dead.
You're right. You're exactly right. And so that's what I do. And typically, most of my mules come to me untouched, 3 to 5. I prefer mollies. And I keep them for about a year, most of them a year, a little more sometimes, until I get them to where they are a functioning adult in society. Yep. And that somebody else can enjoy them and do things with them. And that's what I do. I'm very small scale because it's just me, and I do work full time, especially in the winter time. It gets tough. I don't have the lighted facilities and all that kind of stuff. So it's just me. And I have some really good mules. I have been so fortunate that I've only had 2 that I had to take and I couldn't do anything with. Yeah. Out of, I don't know, probably in the 30s range.
Right.
And I show them. I want to say that I had to, but my mule Martha is the one who opened up the doors and showed everybody, like, when I got her out of a kill pen, and I told my friends, I'm like, I'm going to go and buy me a mule, and I'm going to teach you to run barrels. And they were like laughing at me. But at this time, Lance Graves had came out and had a mule that is owned by Mark and Bobby Ward up in Oklahoma, and he ran barrels on her, and he did well, and he won Houston and Fort Worth at the mule shows, and stuff like that. But it kind of opened up the doors that, hey, a mule can run barrels. A mule can be a performance type animal. And so I had that goal in mind, and I know Lance, and I knew him from running barrels, and stuff. And so I kind of kept that in my in my mind that this is what it is. And Martha just took to it. Okay. And she showed everybody, hey, a mule can run barrels. A mule's not going to go to a horse show and scare all the horses. A mule, they let me run at the rodeos. They invite me to run at the rodeos now. Sometimes I don't do it because I don't want to be a clown act. I never want to be that.
No, I don't. Yeah. Well, I have to make sure and watch out for that because, like in mounted archery with my mule, we're an oddity. We're an oddity.
We are an oddity.
But we're also good.
We're good at what we do, and I have no inspirations that she can run with a horse.
Right.
But she can go out there and run like a horse and turn a barrel like a horse and perform like a horse. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I want to back up for 2 seconds. I want to back up because I don't want to get too far away because I have a diverse group of people that listen to my podcast. Some are horse people and then some are not because we do business and motivational things on here. So tell everybody what a molly is. Okay,
a molly mule is a mare mule.
Okay, and a mare mule means a female because they might not know what mare is either.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah,
we got female. We got people that are not horse people that listen. Now, then, you had said something about you had 2 mules that didn't work out, right? And then you said something about 30. What were you talking about?
Out of 30.
Oh, out of 30.
30 of them.
Okay. All right. So, do you know?
And I'm guessing on that one. I'm guessing on that one, but I think that's right. And I try to keep up with all of them, and I know where all of them are, except for one.
Okay.
But yeah, I had 2 that I just couldn't do anything with.
Well, and
they ended up.
They're so different. Each mule is so different. What were you saying about your other mules? You were going to say where they were or something?
I said I know where all of them are and what kind of job they're doing and they're taken care of, and I try to do that too because I see so much stuff, where mules are not respected as, and they need to be, and and they are different, and they train different, and I'm not one of those, Karens. I'm not a Karen. If they need to be laid down and gotten control of, I will lay them down and I will get control of them. Right. And I demand respect from them. However, how I go about it is not the way that other people would go about it.
Right.
But and I learned that, and that was hard. That was hard for me coming from a horse background
right
into a mule background. That was hard.
Different. I mean, like I do.
They
I mean,
are.
like the basic commands are the same, but just the way that they process and the time it takes is
you
different.
have to get in their. You have to get in their mind.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't get in their mind, you're wasting your time.
Right. So I'm going to tell you a little bitty thing right here. I have a mule named JoJo, and after I got him, I was successful with him. He's pretty. I mean, he's like laid back. He's so chill. Mm-hmm. If he was a human, he would probably be Snoop Dogg. Like he is just super cool, laid back. You know what I mean? Like he's kind of funky shaped, whatever. So I was like, oh, I'm a mule trainer now. So I got me another mule, and this one was beautiful. You're not supposed to choose them for beauty. Well, I got a rude awakening on that one because, girl, I had that. It took me 28 days to be able to touch her in the round pen with a halter on, okay? And then, oh, my gosh, I think I had her for 6 months, and then I took her to the Amish to help me out, and then he put 2 months on her, and he says, man, she just breaks in half, and you don't even know what's coming. And for him to say that, because he's training 100 mules a year, so he's like, all right, I know where she needs to go. He needs to go to this one Amish, he needs to go to a younger Amish man that's going to have her for at least 2 years to get that out of her. Anyway,
wow.
Well, he said that, sometimes good mules get bad training and sometimes bad mules get good training. And he said
that's right.
Well, you can tell that she had been hurt on her back before. And she just would not bond. And boy, after me spending 2 months with having training, I sold that mule for $300, and it was the happiest day of my life. So, with you saying, and it's hard because you feel like a failure. You feel like maybe I didn't put enough in.
I've let them down.
Oh yeah. So,
and I have one right now that I'm starting, and I've had her a week, and she was wild. I mean, and I was like, woof. Because it's been a year, so every time that the year comes by and I get the new ones in, I'm like, and the two I had, the three I had this past year, they were pretty rank, but they are, I'm talking, these are good mules, but they were, both of them were pretty hard to break. And so I thought, okay, I think I rushed them. Maybe I rushed them. I'm going to not rush this one. And I have taken a different approach to her. And I'm kind of surprised. I've had her a week. I did not try to touch her or do anything except feed her. And I got close enough to her as long as she was comfortable. And then when she started getting uncomfortable, I would back off of her, and I'd feed her and I'd walk away. I did that for a week. I caught her for the first time Sunday, and she's had a halter and a lead rope on. Today I caught her. I always take another mule in there with me when I'm catching them because it makes them feel a little better. And I keep the ones that I've got in that are like this. I keep them totally separated. And I'm the one who feeds them. I'm the one who waters them. I'm the one who does everything with them. And so she's isolated. But I take another mule in there with her to catch, and she walked right up to me and let me catch her today. So I am pleasantly surprised and pleased with her because she was pretty rank, and she was even aggressive towards the other mules. But she's coming around, so I think she's going to be all right, I hope.
I've got my third mule now. Her name is Coco, and she is tall, and she's big, and she knew she was big. A lot of times those big ones don't know that they don't know it.
Right.
And her progress, it just went nothing, and then it's like literally it felt like she just like said, okay.
They understood. They finally got it. And then when they got it, they're like, okay, now, all right, I got this. I found that with a lot of mules. That's just a mule thing. Oh, yeah. And then they wake up one day and you're like, oh, I understand my expectations today.
Yep.
Let's get after it.
She's my number one. Whenever people have multiple kids, they ain't supposed to have favorites. Okay, well, I don't have kids, so I've got 5 animals in my herd. I've got 2 mules and 3 horses, and I have their tack lined up, and I line them up, my favorite to my least favorite, and so Coco is my number one. Then I've got a mean little quarter horse mare is my number 2, and then I got old JoJo as number 3. So in my top 3 is just 2 mules and 1 of my horses. And the horse that I have, that's my number 2. The only reason she's not number 1 is because, you know what? Strong, opinionated women get things done, and I pull her out to get things done, but she is just mean. But I like her mean because it's useful.
I like a good mean mare. I always have. That's what I like to run when I was running barrels. I love them.
Oh, yeah. I love
give me an old mean mare.
Well, they just get stuff done. They're opinionated. Yeah. You don't have to guess if she likes something. You know, because she done told you. Okay.
Yeah.
But, man,
I like them.
I'll pull that little mare out. I think she might be 14-1, 14-2, but she's built like a refrigerator. You know, if she was a person, she'd probably be me, but with like a little bit smaller belly, because she is not that tall, but she's just stout. And like, man, I can move cattle with her, and I'll have some mama cows that think they want, think that they're gonna
think they want a little.
Think they want something. They're gonna mess around, find out, and that horse don't back down, man. I swear she's like hitting the ground like a bull. Like, let me at him for 5 seconds. I just need 5 seconds. So I do love my horse. A lot of times people think if you're a mule owner or a mule trainer that you don't like horses. And I'm like, we have to like horses, because if you don't have horses, you don't have mules. So, and I love horses.
No, not at all. No. And that's not true. I still have I have my last really good barrel horse. And she's out here in the pasture, and she's got a baby in her right now. I did breed her to a horse.
Right.
I am going to get me a mule out of her, but everybody's like, you cannot breed that mare to it. I said, I'm going to. One of these days when I get ready, I'm going to. So I tell everybody, I said, this colt here, I made a deal with the guy that owns the stud that I get the first filly, and then he gets the first stud colt. Okay. And so I'm hoping it's a filly. I might try to ride a horse again. Who knows? I don't know.
Well, there's 3 things more I want to cover on here, okay? So the patience poll. Tell me about your training thoughts on a patience poll.
I use them nonstop. Like today, this morning, I knew, I was trying to get ready to get everything done and stuff so I could do this podcast. First thing in the mornings when I go in, I go to catch, and I start tying them up. I have different places that I tie them up, and it's depending on what I want to work on or whatever. I have one mule that I'm going to use. Say, for instance, this is going to be my main mule today. So everything that I do with the other mules, if I'm pulling one around or if I'm, moving pastures or whatever it is I'm doing, I have one mule. And he stays tied out here at the front. Well, the rest of them are on patient poles somewhere. If I'm trying to desensitize them, I may have them out here close to the road so that the traffic and stuff is constantly going. If I'm working on one that is, acting like they're getting a little bit herd sour, I have a pole that's inside the barn where they're completely isolated. I have them that tied close to where my arena is, or if I have one that, we're doing something, maybe I'm trying to get them to go over teeter-totter and it's becoming frustrating for me and them both. It's time for a patient time out for me and them both, because they get frustrated and I get frustrated. And if that happens, then we both need to walk away from the situation and come back a little bit later. So I'll tie them to the patient pole that I have, just a rope hanging from a tree. So I have them at all, different places so that I can easily accessible if I need to.
Okay.
And so they learn to stand tied. If they get mad and they're having a fit, well, they can just get mad and have that fit. Mm-hmm. I don't give them any attention at all while they're on the patient pole, other than, if it's summertime and they're tied out. Now, I do water them, but I think that is part of the bonding process, because they know that I'm going to come get them, I'm going to take them to water, and then I'm going to put them, and I may change their position. They may be all over the farm in one day. And then also, if I do that, it also allows me to ride them in multiple sessions, if that makes sense. So I can ride one for 15, 20 minutes, come to a stopping point. Well, I'm not really done with them, but I'm going to tie them up and I'm going to go and I'm going to ride this one for a while. And then I may rotate back around, And so it teaches them, we're going to stand tied to the trailer. We're going to stand there and we're going to be patient. We're not going to stand there and paw. If they choose to paw, then I take them to a spot that has gravel, or not gravel, but shale there, so that it has a hard bottom, so it's hard for them to paw. I might put them in the sand. That makes it hard for them to paw. It's different things like that. And so you will not see my mules go out in public and start talking to other mules or raising Cain. I have to do that because all the horse people are looking at me. And that sounds funny, and it may sound kind of petty, but it's true. Because when I started this, places wouldn't even allow me to bring Martha in. I couldn't exhibition barrels. I couldn't do this because, there was rules against having mules there. Right. And she's kind of opened up those doors for me, and associations are now letting me participate, and things like that. So she's an oddity. So in all the mules that I take. And so like when I haul, they all go. I don't care if they're 6 months old or if they're, they go. They get in that trailer.
Okay, so
and I take them with me.
Tell me the height that you use and what are you
different.
using?
I don't have any set deal.
Okay.
I get a Larrett rope, and like the one that's hanging inside my barn, it's at a height where their head's not hanging up high, or whatever. They can even reach down and graze or eat hay, and things like that. I don't necessarily reward them, but I don't necessarily take things away from them either. I do let them eat. I may give them a hay bag or something like that. I do take them to water. If it's tied to a tree, well, then it's at the normal length. If it's tied, up to a stall, a wall in the barn, well, it's at the normal. It's all that. It just depends on where it's at. I don't have a set height.
All right.
I try to make them comfortable. And I try to make them have enough room where if they choose to move around, well, that's their problem. They're going to move. They have a choice to move around.
Right.
I have some that are really tight that they can't move around. It just depends on where they're at.
Okay. So that was one thing that sets you apart from different people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the next thing is I was looking through some of your TikToks, and you are in Arkansas, but you have a ton of videos from Utah. So
oh, yeah,
why
do.
Utah?
I love Utah. Utah was like my place that I've always wanted to go, and I never wanted to visit it like, fly out there and just drive around. It was like, I have to go on the mules. I want to see it from the mules. And so I'm so fortunate. I have a great group of friends who like to travel too. They're all retired. Most of them are. And during the summer months, we go somewhere. Year before last, we went to Kansas, Nebraska, North and South Dakota, and rode for a month. And then this year we went out there and we rode in Montana. Well, I went to 13 states and 5 national parks.
Okay.
And rode the mules for a month.
2021, you rode in 13 different states.
Mm-hmm. I did.
That's amazing. Okay. So there was something then, so I had, Chuckwagon. Girl, I'm trying to read my handwriting. Okay. So do you compete in the Chuckwagon races?
I don't know. The wagons scare me to death.
Okay.
I love it. I love the excitement around it. There's some things that I don't agree with, but hey, you're going to have that in anything. What I do is, and it was kind of a whim type thing. They had a mule race, and they normally have them. And I had never been to the Chuckwagon races until 2 years ago. And because the horse show, I was in the Missouri Mule Makeover, 4 years ago. And then before that, we had horse shows, and our big horse show is on Labor Day weekend. And so it kind of coincides with the one at the big Chuckwagon race at Clinton, which is also Labor Day weekend. So I never got to go. And so I had some friends, and they had some wagons, and I thought, I'm going to go and ride around. That's the best place to desensitize a mule. If you can ride around the Chuckwagon races, you got a broke mule. But so they had a mule race. So I entered because I'm extremely competitive, and I still need that adrenaline rush, and stuff that you get. And I won it.
Okay.
And there we go. We went from there, and then I went to the national Chuckwagon races last year at Clinton. That was the first time. First time I ever run a mule race, like in that big of a thing or whatever. You have to start from the ground, and then they fire gun, you get on, then you take off. And they also have a thing called the Snowy River Race. Mm-hmm. And I'd always heard about it. And I'd seen it on YouTube, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And me living as close as I do to Clinton, you know, everybody around here knows or been to the Chuckwagon races. They already talked about the Snowy River Race. So I said, well, I want to do it on a mule. Everybody laughed, you know, and stuff. But my Aunt Rhonda, she was like, Leslie, I really don't want you to do that. She said, I've been up there. It's dangerous. It's bad. Don't do it. I don't want you to do it. So I entered without telling anybody until the race happened. And I was fifth. I was the first mule across the line in the Snowy River Race. And but it scared me to death. Mm-hmm. And I didn't do it anymore. And so, but I did it once. And then I ran the mule race and I won it. And we went back this year because I had to defend my title. And I was going to, Martha has always been the one that I ran. And I was using Norman to kind of get her used to, or use her. I was using him to help me get her in shape, ponying and stuff like that. So you have to run 3 days in a row. And I thought, I'll run Norman the middle day. And that'll break Martha up and she won't have to run but 2 times. And I'll be dadgum if I didn't. It was the smoothest get on I could have had. And I got on and it was an unbelievable race. It was just an unbelievable race. And I set the track record and I outrun Martha on Norman 5 full seconds.
Okay.
And so it was it was a surprise. I mean, I was not expecting him to do that. I had no idea.
You had put him on the B string and he was your A string.
And he became the A string. And I told everybody, you know, when I took him out to Utah, he was a boy. But when I brought him back, he was a man. And it just matured him. And he's kind of my A man. I keep telling everybody he's sexy. I like him. I said, I may not get rid of this one, y'all. That was fun.
Well, and boy, people don't know how much a good mule is worth. I know where I'm at right now. I've turned down $10,000 for JoJo, and I've turned down $15,000 for Coco.
Mm-hmm. And mules are high, and a good mule. I mean, a good mule is worth their weight in gold.
Yep.
Because I can do everything I ever wanted. I had to have 5 horses, and I have 1 mule that I could do. You know, I had to have a barrel horse. You had to have a barrel horse. You had to have a pole horse. You had to have, you know, this different kinds of stuff. Martha will go out there and do every bit of it.
Yep.
You know, and I'm like, why y'all need all this? And it's so cool that one animal has that many abilities. And so that's making them high. They're high.
Mm-hmm. You know, the coolest thing that JoJo does is he drinks beer. He will drink.
Yeah, no, mine all drink, yeah.
He will drink
Martha
Coors Light from a bottle, and it's got to be cold. That is that's his combination that he wants.
My mother works at a donut store, Daylight Donuts, and she brings Martha home leftover cinnamon rolls if they have them. That's the only treat she ever gets is the donuts, and she will. I mean, all you got to do is shake that bag. She can, you know, they're supposed to be colorblind, but I don't know about all that. But you can shake that bag, and she can hear that donut sack and hear she's coming.
Man, I know if
I likes the beer too.
If I ever wanted to call my animals, if I could somehow amplify the sound of a sonic peppermint being pulled.
Oh, opening. Yeah.
Just like, I heard that.
I have a friend, she's from England, so she has a little different, you know, viewpoint on things, and she's so cool, and she's such an animal lover, and these animals are her children. And I saw she had on Facebook where she gave them their warm mash, which is some molasses and some alfalfa cubes. And it's all heated up and warmed up with warm water and everything. And then she had sonic peppermints on the top.
And you were like,
and I'm like, woo. Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I feel like I've learned a lot more from this podcast. And whenever I got to meet you, you know, I had asked you about a cavesson, which is something that keeps the mule's mouth closed.
I noticed that you had one on in your video. I noticed that you had one on in your video.
Coco's Donkey Kong-sized head Girl, I had to buy one, and then I had to just trade with somebody else, and I traded my new one for an old one for her, and it's made a world of difference.
It does. It makes a huge amount of difference, and I don't understand why people don't just automatically put them on. To me, it's just, and even the horse people now, like I live right next door to one of my best friends that I've had most of my life, and she still trains barrel horses and stuff, and she said, "Why did you put that cavison on there?" And I said, "Because it holds her mouth shut." And I said, "Well," and she was riding a colt that was kind of pushing on the bit, was hard, running up on it and everything. And I was like, she said, "I just cannot get this mare off this bit." She was complaining. I just stopped, took the cavison off my mule, handed it to her. I said, "Tighten that down just a little." I said, "Just enough." And the mare got off the bit. I said, "See?" I said, "They're opening their mouth just enough that they're getting off the bit." And I said, "It's not a training thing. It's a horse learning how to get by or away from something that they don't necessarily want to do."
I've always been afraid of them. I used one before, but I think that I fastened it down too much because I about got myself wrecked.
Yeah, no, you don't. I don't know. I never tighten them down. And you saw mine; they were nylon. But I would never advise anybody. And a lot of people will do that unknowingly.
That's what I did.
And then get themselves hurt, So don't tighten the cavison down real tight.
I had about a 1,200-pound horse that I was like, oh, no. I mean, it was like some DMX was playing in his head where he's like, "Y'all gonna make me lose my mind." I mean, like he was about to flip over on me. So I've always been like, okay, I'm scared.
Yeah.
But no, my mule, she shut her mouth, and now I can actually get to work. And like whenever I ask her to do something, I don't have this like, my mouth is open. And then I'll do it. No, she'll go ahead and do it.
Then they engage.
Yep.
Yeah, like you have a total engagement, and it works, and it takes a little bit of finesse and working through some of the issues that they have, using the cavison. And you might not all. Sometimes I don't have it on, but when I grab it, and I'm weird about that in my tack room. All my head stalls and everything, I have a head stall, a bit, and reins attached to everything. Everything's set up, and then I attach my cavesons, or I put my cavesons on for each mule, so it's set for each mule if it's higher up or lower. And I told you that I adjust it according to how the mule reacts to it.
Right.
And 90% of everything that we know, we learned it because we did it wrong the first time.
Oh yeah, I had a hard lesson that first time but I got myself out of it. And you know what? Whenever with us having this trail facility, I mean, like I've stopped renting out my horses just because one year I put 250 people on one horse. You're supposed to rotate them. I'm done with all of that. I mean, I use them for my Chicks in the Sticks events, like this all-inclusive women's only vacation, and I use them for kids camps.
That's cool.
Oh, Chicks in the Sticks is cool. We rent like a limo. We have businesses open up for private shopping. All their food's included.
Oh, how cool.
Girl, I even have one that's called 50 plus Chicks in the Sticks. You got to be at least 50 to come. So now I've got a Hicks in the Sticks next year, which is co-ed. But I rent out for that. And I have some of my friends that I let ride my animals, and then I have some people that... lesson students that have been riding with me for years, and I'll still let them ride. But I take that cavison off whenever it's not me because I don't want to train it on the animal,
No. Yeah, I don't. You always have to just adjust to the circumstances, and you always have to do that with mules.
Okay, so if people wanted to get in touch with you, how do they find you?
You can find me on Facebook is, I guess the easiest way, but it's Leslie Waymack Ballard on Facebook. I started a TikTok account that is just for the mules because I have a lot of different stuff. It's my personal account, and everybody on Facebook, everybody tells me, you need to get you I know, I do, but I haven't. Mm-hmm. But I do have a TikTok account that is just for the mules. It's Cactus L Mules, and it's all one word. And I don't have Instagram or anything like that. I just don't have time for all that
so
stuff.
Just Facebook and TikTok? Well, no, I'm jealous because, girl, that stuff eats up my time. But, Instagram is for younger people. Facebook is for older clients. TikTok is what is hot right now. It kind of seems like just a shortened version of YouTube, which I really...
It is, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't enjoy it at school. Yeah, I don't enjoy it at school because we're having all kinds of issues with TikTok in school.
Mm-hmm.
But for this platform, it's been easy for me, and it's been fast, and I can put, like the videos from Utah. Well, those were on my phone from, back in the summer. And so I was able to upload them, and it was pretty easy, and it's user friendly, or whatever. But it also gives everybody kind of a glimpse of everything. I put one on today, and and it's always a struggle for me to do it because I'm by myself 90% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm out here trying to, prop my phone up with concrete blocks and sticks and stuff and everything. But anyway, I made a video this morning about Charlotte. I got her caught, and I was doing some little figure 8 exercises that I do with them when I'm teaching them to lead and everything. And right in the front of the camera, in the most important part, guess what you see?
What?
My dog's butt. Jack had went and stood right in front of the camera, and his butt is shining for everybody to see, and it was such a good video. And I went ahead and posted it because it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm thinking, oh my God, so I'd have to redo it again and try to, and stuff. So it just takes me time.
So Leslie, Waymack,
Mm-hmm.
Ballard.
Ballard, yes.
Ballard, Ballard,
Yes.
Ballard.
ARD, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then Cactus L Mules, that is you.
Uh-huh.
And they can look
Mm-hmm.
up Cactus L Mules on TikTok. And
Mm-hmm.
there's how they get in touch with you, just 2 ways, which is great because it's just simple.
Mm-hmm.
You either got Facebook or you got TikTok. And then
Yeah, and
do you have a phone number or an email for them just in case somebody's hearing this? Because a lot of my clients don't do TikTok and a lot of them don't do Facebook.
right, I understand. It's my phone number is 501-628-4779.
Okay.
My email I use is my school email, so I don't need that ain't appropriate. But I get a hold of me. Texting is always the easiest. I don't mind answering questions or if I can help somebody out. Every once in a while I have a mule for sale, but normally I don't do a whole lot of selling because it's just I have people who are waiting for the mules and stuff whenever they get done with them or whatever. Some of them go already kind of are slated to go to the hunting sector or something like that. But sometimes I do have mules for sale, and I ride a little bit for the public, not a lot, just because I don't have a lot of time. But
So
I don't mind.
What business do you want?
I don't know. I mean, sometimes I have a mule for sale. I want you to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I kind of like giving the clinics. I really enjoyed that.
Okay.
Was that your first one? I hope I did a good job.
Was that your first one at MuleFest?
Yes, that was my very first one. Yes, that was my very first one. I'd never done it before.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so you have mules for sale sometimes, and then you're wanting to be an outfitter, so that's going to be how we can help you in the future, is just to make sure people know how to get in touch with you if they're wanting to do that, because you'll have animals for them to rent, and you'll go with them, and they will ride your animals.
Right. Yes. I will go with them and provide everything with them.
Okay.
Everything that they need.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for tuning in to Big Boss Mare with Brandy Von Holten.